Good morning, Rock Hill teachers. Thank you so much for all of you who have already submitted grants to our Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation grant process. We are so excited to give you money to really enhance the classroom experience that you provide for your students. Today we're going to go through and give you some tips and tricks, and we have Tracy Lee here with us, and she is a former kindergarten teacher from Oakdale and a professional grant writer, so to speak. And thank you, Tracy, for being here today.
My pleasure.
And we're just going to walk through the application process with you to show you how simple it really can be, and just some tips from Tracy on ways that you can wrap your brain around your idea and how to write a grant that will be a successful grant. So, Tracy, before they get started on the application process, what do you suggest that they do?
Well, the first thing I suggest is read the grant application thoroughly. Read it carefully for all the special instructions and things that are approved or not approved automatically. And as you're writing your grant, reread the application, and when you finish writing the grant, reread it again and use it as your rubric to make sure you've hit all those points.
So if you are not familiar with where our grant application is located, it is on our Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation website as well as the school district website. And so when you pull the application up, you will see we have the terms and conditions laid out at the very beginning, just with some tips for you. And then you'll go through the process of just kind of setting up some basic information. And so the first thing that you're really going to want to think about is the summary statement. So what's your thought on good summary statement?
Well, the summary statement should be one sentence. So what I would do is I would condense my idea down to just a few words, but make sure I get my point across, and make sure you talk about how innovative, creative it is. Don't be flowery in your writing, because we just want to know the facts and what you're going to do.
And then we want to see your activities and the objectives that you really want to address with the idea in your grant. And so what are some tips you have for how to be really specific there?
Well, what I do is I look at what I want to provide in my classroom, and I look at the standards for my particular grade level, and I make the connections so that I know that I'm teaching what I should be teaching, as well as adding other things in there. And this last grant I wrote, I actually did the whole school, so I looked at all the standards across the board that would actually fit. So the more standards you can fit in there, the more connections you can make to the school, and I think that's probably the best way to do that.
It reaches more students.
Reaches more students, and you're really teaching what you're supposed to be teaching, but in an innovative way.
And then we have materials needed, which is really kind of the heart of what the money is going to be used for. So the next thing you're going to do is provide that list of materials needed for the project. So
now there are a few materials that will be stated in the grant that are not funded, such as furniture and class sets of books, and of course ukuleles, because not that we don't think these things are important, it's because these things have already been used and it's not innovative anymore. And class sets of books, we think that we know that they are important, but those are from the school, and those other resources, our resources, are for innovative and creative. That's, I think, the main thing of this.
right. So and another thing that we do look at is how many students are going to be impacted by the scope of the grant.
Right.
And if it's a school-wide grant and every child in the school will be touched by it, that's something that's important to note as well, versus just a small population of students.
Right, and don't just do your particular class if you can. Do the whole grade level. Do a couple of grade levels. And for many years, try to do something, because if I just wrote a grant for my class, for let's say 25 students, but over the course of the few years that would last, that would be hundreds of students. So make sure the longevity of it and the number of students impacted each year.
Perfect. We do also ask that evaluations are completed within the school year or within a calendar year of the grant being awarded, and that can come via videos and photographs of the children interacting with that grant material or activity. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is the evaluation process, and we request that within a calendar year of receiving your grant that you give us some feedback on how you use the grant money, what tools did you purchase, purchase and how did it impact your classroom. And we'd love to see photos and videos of children in the learning environment thriving because of their opportunity. And so definitely keep those coming. And it doesn't have to be within the calendar year. It can be as soon as you get the grant money and working in your classroom. What are some of your thoughts on it?
Well, I know that in my classroom, other teachers that I work with, they are always taking pictures and videos of great things going on. So you're already doing these. Just compile them back in. And you don't have to, again, write anything elaborate. Just say, thank you for this. My children learned this, and these were the experiences, and it was wonderful. Send those in, and I know that the people who invest in the foundation love to see where their money goes. And if you do that, and they get to see that, they're more willing to give more money for the next grant cycle.
Exactly. Okay, this is a biggie. This is our budget category, and this really lets us see that you've done your homework. You know exactly what materials you're going to need to make the grant happen, put the idea into action. And so give us some tips on how to write and how to present a successful budget.
All right, for the budget, make sure that your budget numbers match always. Look at the amount that you're allowed, and then look at your materials. And for your materials, what I always do, make it easy for the reader. I don't want the reader to ever have to calculate and say, okay, what is she adding in here? I write down this costs this from this company, shipping and handling will be this, tax will be this, the total of this item is this, and do it like that for everything you purchase. And at the bottom, do a total with including shipping and handling and taxes, because if you don't, then you'll end up having to pay the shipping and taxes or all of that stuff when it really can be paid for by the grant as well.
So be as thorough as possible.
Recheck your numbers, because there is an accountant on the reading team, and the accountant is really a stickler for numbers. And you know, that's part of it. If they think that you have done your homework and you really have everything down to the penny, then they have confidence that you will carry out this grant in the same fashion.
And also, really the budget category aligns with the materials category. They really should kind of mirror each other, although the materials category may have a few other things that aren't necessarily part of the grant but they'll be needed. Okay, so you also do your due diligence and research some different vendors. Amazon may be a great resource, but there may be another one or someplace local that you can purchase your supplies from. And then of course we do like to see if you have funds coming in from another source. Is this a grant that needs multiple income sources to make it happen? And that's kind of nice for us just to see the breadth of your idea.
Right. And another thing that goes with that is if you've already done something with your idea. I know lots of times I would start something small in my classroom just to try it out, and it was so great that I wanted to make it on a bigger scale, so that's what I would write my grants for. And if I would write a small grant somewhere and it turned out wonderfully, then I would want to write a bigger one, maybe with a foundation, and I would add what I already had in my classroom, what the funding was already there, and then why I need more funding to carry it through.
All right, and then at the end, we do ask that you give us a summary, kind of identifying how the grant is going to carry out beyond the time frame. You know, how is it a district-wide thing? Could it affect the entire grade level or school? So I think you touched on that already. Just the more the mass appeal that it can have and reach more students, the more successful the grant will probably be.
Right. What I usually do in this section is write a little timeline, and it keeps me on task as the teacher, but also it lets you know what I'm doing. Like in September, I will purchase the materials. In October, I will implement this part. By December, the families will have been in the classroom to observe these lessons. And if I can use that as my checklist, that's also something you can turn in at the end with your summary statement.
Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is the evaluation process. And we request that within a calendar year of receiving your grant, that you give us some feedback on how you used the grant money, what tools did you purchase, and how did it impact your classroom. And we'd love to see photos and videos of children in the learning environment thriving because of their opportunity. And so definitely keep those coming. And it doesn't have to be within the calendar year. It could be thoughts on?
Well, I know that in my classroom and other teachers that I work with, they are always taking pictures and videos of great things going on. So you're already doing these. Just compile them back in. And you don't have to, again, write anything elaborate. Just say, thank you for this. My children learned this, and these were the experiences, and it was wonderful. Send those in, and I know that the people who invest in the foundation love to see where their money goes. And if you do that, and they get to see that, they're more willing to give more money for the next grant cycle.
Exactly. Okay, this is a biggie. This is our budget, category, and this really lets us see that you've done your homework. You know exactly what materials you're going to need to make the grant happen, the idea into action. And so give us some tips on how to write and how to present a successful budget.
All right, for the budget, make sure that your budget numbers match always. Look at the amount that you're allowed, and then look at your materials. And for your materials, what I always do, make it easy for the reader. I don't want the reader to ever have to calculate and say, okay, what is she adding in here? I write down this costs this from this company, shipping and handling will be this, tax will be this, the total of this item is this. And do it like that for everything you purchase. And at the bottom, do a total with including shipping and handling and taxes. Because if you don't, then you'll end up having to pay the shipping and taxes or all of that stuff when it really can be paid for by the grant as well.
So be as thorough as possible.
Recheck your numbers, because there is an accountant on the reading team, and the accountant is really a stickler for numbers. And you know, that's part of it. If they think that you have done your homework and you really have everything down to the penny, then they have confidence that you will carry out this grant in the same fashion.
And also, really the budget category aligns with the materials category. They really should kind of mirror each other.
Right.
Although the materials category may have a few other things that aren't necessarily part of the grant, but they'll be needed. Okay, so you also do your due diligence and research, some different vendors. Amazon may be a great resource, but there may be another one or someplace local that you can purchase your supplies from. And then, of course, we do like to see if you have funds coming in from another source. Is this a grant that needs multiple income sources to make it happen? And that's kind of nice for us just to see the breadth of your idea.
Right. And another thing that goes with that is if you've already done something with your idea. I know lots of times I would start something small in my classroom just to try it out, and it was so great that I wanted to make it on a bigger scale, so that's what I would write my grants for. And if I would write a small grant somewhere and it turned out wonderfully, then I would want to write a bigger one, maybe with a foundation, and I would add what I already had in my classroom, what the funding was already there, and then why I need more funding to carry it through.
And the last part of the application that we feel is really an important piece of the equation is to have that administrative recommendation. So having your principal on board and supporting your grant, your creative idea, is just really crucial to the success of it and how it's going to work in your classroom. So give us some thoughts on that part of it.
And you can't leave it out because it is part of the application. If that part's left out, then of course it won't be read, just like if any other part of the application is left out, then it becomes invalid. But definitely reach out to your principal early on, not the last minute, so that your principal does have time. And I'm sure that there are principals, every principal out there wants more money for their school, and I'm sure if you ask your principal in a timely manner, it will be done, because every principal wants money added to their school.
And I think, are there any other, so that really takes us through the application step by step in kind of a chronological order, with some tips to help you find ways to be a little bit more concise with your wording. And so any other just overarching tips?
Well, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. Carefully read the instructions at the beginning and throughout the process, and then again at the end to make sure that you've reached all the points. And then my last thing is just be creative and innovative. It doesn't have to be something that's just wow, just something different that you want to try. And it's more about the idea of being creative and innovative and motivating and just showing your passion rather than being a great writer. And if you do write a grant and it is not accepted or approved, please don't let that discourage you, because you will get feedback from the foundation, and take that feedback and rewrite it and resubmit it, because if you do follow the guidelines and then use their suggestions, it's more likely that you'll get it the second time around.
Thank you so much for watching, and we are excited to see all of your grant submissions come in. We're really excited to give you the opportunity to try new things in your classroom. So good luck.
Good luck.